Working on a night moves, trying to lose some awkward teenage blues. Working on a night moves.
Thought you were bringing plumbers in, man.
Right?
Not singers. What's going on there?
Told you he was ahead of his time.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us
so
back.
much for coming back, Aaron, and
Yeah,
bringing
pleasure.
a few of the lads over to the show.
Yeah, brought a bit
This
of
is just
last
small
one.
small
Variety
portion of it,
group.
right?
Yeah. This is just a couple of people that were willing to come and embarrass themselves.
Yeah, I got a text in London at noon, said, hey, be at the shop for 2 p.m.
Today
Yeah.
you got the call?
Yeah.
Well, I told them
Text.
last week, and then I forgot to remind them. To
Told
be
us
honest
last
with
week
you.
over beers.
So you don't remember it at that point.
And then everything went crazy on a Monday morning, like it usually does.
Yeah,
so
of
it was
course.
like,
Yeah, I got a call about half hour ago.
yeah,
like,
45 minutes
okay.
to be precise.
How did he propose it to you, Meg?
Went to the same way.
I knew he had to leave the shop at 2:30 today, and at about 2:28, he asked if I wanted to come. So
That's how we roll.
scoured my bag for lipstick, and here I am.
And there you go. It's good. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful that you set it all up and got everybody out here, so we can actually talk about expert plumbing
Yeah, awesome.
and drains. That's all. So, do you want to, Aaron, introduce yourself and then introduce the team that's here?
Yeah, Aaron Boland, owner of Expert Plumbing and Drains. With me today, we have Jay.
Yeah, so Jay or Jason, been doing this for about 5 or 6 years, right out of high school, and been loving it ever since.
Right on.
How young are you?
Me, I'm 23.
It's actually 12.
12, 12 and a half. I'm
23
13
months?
13 next year.
And then Meg?
I'm Meg. I've been with Expert for 8 months now. I'm the office manager, and I'm loving it there.
And then
My name's Dakota. I've been doing this for going on about 8 years now. Just got my journeyman's license about this time last year.
Yep.
I've been working with Aaron for pretty much most of this time. And it's been a lot of ups and downs, but everything's kosher so far.
Going round.
unleash your voice on the Construction Life podcast community. Are you passionate about the world of construction, trades, and all things building related? The Construction Life podcast wants to hear from you. Leave us a review, share your thoughts, insights, and experiences on your favorite podcast channel. Your review fuels our mission to create engaging and informative content for the construction community. Your feedback is a mortar that holds our podcast together, so share your thoughts, rate us, and let the construction community know why The Construction Life is your go-to podcast. Visit our website and check out the over 400 tradespeople and construction professionals listed on our site. Check out www.theconstructionlife.com for additional content, behind-the-scenes exclusives, and valuable resources. Dive deeper into the construction world with articles, guest profiles, and more. Follow us on social at TCL_The Construction Life. Subscribe to our video channels on YouTube and Rumble. Check out our link tree and find exclusive discounts for listeners. The link is in the IG bio. Join the conversation on Facebook, the Construction Life community. I want to start off by, how did you guys find out about him and his business?
Mine's a bit of a long story, so.
Oh, they're all long stories.
So
I'll give
mine,
it. Yeah, go ahead.
mine starts off with Mike. I don't know if we've mentioned Mike before.
Let's mention Mike. Mike is where you were to mention.
Yeah.
I did
Oh, yeah.
mention him a little bit
Mike
last
Mike
time.
is who?
Mike Cox. He's the man.
Oh, wait,
He's
you
my
mentioned him.
boss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so everybody's got, the one guy type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
not to say, like, we have a few one guys, but Mike is the brains of the operation. He's been in the business maybe 25 years. Is
I'd say
probably
more.
the first stabbing
Oh, yeah.
anyway.
He knows everything.
And, been there, done it, seen it, and he allows us to take it to the next level, right? Because, again, I'm, 37 years of age, limited knowledge. You got to learn by trial by fire for the most part. So, he
Mike's
gets
good
us
at
to-
making decisions when no one else can. He's very easy at just saying,
Yeah.
well, what are the steps that we need? Like, what needs to happen, He's not afraid to make a decision.
Yeah, and he's good at what he does. So regardless of age and anyway, like when Mike was 25, 30, I'm sure he was still the guy,
How old is he now?
Say
Oh, man.
Younger
50s.
50s.
Older
Yeah.
than time.
Okay.
Old.
He's older than time.
Oh, he was my. I've known Mike since I was like a toddler. Like,
Yeah, well,
he used to be my neighbor years ago.
weird story. Yeah, just it's small world. Like, so Dakota and him were neighbors. Like when you were a
Yeah,
kid.
like I
right?
What are the odds of that, huh?
Oh, I would say a small world, but
Yeah, no. So I worked for another company in Hamilton. I did a co-op in high school. They hired me for the summer. I worked for about a year. Didn't get signed up. I wanted to get signed up and was kind of waiting. They were saying they would. So eventually
Did
I
you
got.
tell them at the beginning that?
Oh, it was. They knew it was kind of. Anyone watching this who knows about apprenticeships knows like it's more money for them than now they got to sign you up. So they were waiting. I didn't get signed up for probably 2 years, and that's when I had a family member
Yeah.
who knew Mike's wife, and basically they'd heard stories about Mike complaining that he needed an apprentice, you know? And I'm like, oh, I can do that. So set up a coffee. I met him at Tim Hortons. The next day I was signed up as an apprentice. So
Doesn't mess around.
There's no messing around.
and
at
the
that
next
point,
week
like-
I had my own van, and he was sending me my own jobs. And
trial by fire.
yeah, I've been in the deep end when you're 19 years old, 20 years old.
Were you ready?
Oh yeah, even if
You were
I
totally
wasn't,
ready?
even if I wasn't, I still did what I had to make sure I was ready. You know, I've always wanted my own van. That was my biggest thing. So
Jay shows up ready. He's one of those guys.
Mike gave me a van. I came the next day, like making sure I was ready. You know.
Yeah, he shows up early, making sure his stuff is in order. He's not a last minute type.
I don't want to
guy,
open
you
my
know?
door and the customer say, "What's going on in your
It's a mess
van?"
in
You
there
know.
and stuff. You want it to be all.
I want it to look like a
organized,
garage when you
professional.
go out and say, "Oh, that's how he does it."
Yeah, and Mike is very the same as well. Like Mike is
Yeah.
when I read that book, The Myth of the Entrepreneur, and it teaches you about the different personalities. And Mike is a manager. It's it's his way is to manage. So Jake fit in very well with him, and he's very prepared. So.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of my dad in the way we get along. Like, we don't butt heads too much. I just kind of ignore him whenever things get too heated. I'm just whatever, you know. Like, obviously you're gonna get angry. It's a generational thing, so I kind of understand that. I remember counting boxes in Mike's garage. You know, he had a shop this big, and we'd be in there. He'd be sitting at his desk. I'd read him off 2090s. He'd check them off. You know, we'd be counting all his fittings in his shop. He'd have a list of every piece, everything he had in that shop. Like, he knew exactly what he had. Like, he's very meticulous when he sets things up. He'll send you to a job with not one thing missing and not one thing extra. Like, he'll give you exactly what you need.
Because there's more work involved if you have
Exactly.
more, and there's more work involved if you got less.
There's more mess. There's more everything, right? Like, he's just very good at setting jobs up.
Kinda
more
smart,
loss.
huh?
Yeah, well, it's what allowed us to get to the next level. And when I met Mike, and he's teaching me these ways, and then you get a CRM, and then you put your input in there, and then you get guys going out on the road, and you can, with confidence, you're not going to be at a loss. You're going to send 6-8 guys out or put 8 trucks on the road, and you don't have a way of tracking material, or for these guys to even have a way of billing it out, or you'll find yourself in a fast mess.
How is he able to, I'm trying to figure out, what the job is, what the scope is. I guess, where does it all begin? Does it begin with, who's estimating?
Myself and Mike.
And Mike, right?
Yeah.
So you guys are estimating. So you talk about fittings, which is something that I learned from individual trades being a GC, where you guys listed everything. You understood what was the scope of the work and then what was needed in that scope of the work. So you guys would estimate things, so you already get an idea. You're given that estimate, that scope, and all of a sudden you know exactly how many fittings or what path or what's necessary to get that scope done.
Yes.
How precise can you get with that?
I can get down pretty precise. Like, sometimes I've looked at a few jobs on the smaller side, but like, if I'm able to go do one even on my own on the side or something like that, if you're doing the job yourself, like, sometimes it can be off if Mike's quoting it and I go there and I'm 20 years, 30 years younger than him, and I say, oh, this code changed, that code changed. I can do it this way. We don't need all this stuff. That's when you can run into problems, but it's not a problem at the end of the day. It just comes down to how can we work better together to avoid that. So I've talked to Mike about maybe getting me and him on a site to go over our plan and then do a fitting count.
It's a nice bookend if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like old and new, right?
Well, what I always tell the lads is, so when we get into estimating, pretty much we're dealing with fixture costs and, you know, taking a rough idea of a job. When you get more into the commercial side of things, industrial, where there's an actual takeoff, so like we're sticking to engineer drawings, which is a different league of plumbing or a different aspect of plumbing, more to speak. So say when they're doing a home, like these guys are all trained in plumbing the way we train. We bring an educator in and we have a strategy for training. So what tends to happen when they go to site is that they're not going to vent every single fixture. They're not going to price this out or estimate.
Yeah.
So we're not giving them diagrams to say, like he was saying earlier, Mike could get him a fitting down to the T. When he was a first year, Mike would get him a fitting down to a T. But now where you send and get an estimate done, he doesn't have to plumb it the exact way because he's at a stage now where he can figure it out himself.
But that fitting down to a T, that was almost like a wax on, wax off, Danielson,
Exactly,
Miyagi
like,
kind of thing.
He used to drop me
preparing
on.
you.
He'd leave me on site,
Yeah.
and then he'd come back, and now I see it. I can see what he was doing. Before
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh man, this guy's leaving me here. But I thank him all the time now. Like if I wasn't there on my own in London in the middle of the night trying to figure something out, like wouldn't be as able to solve things as I am now. You know.
Okay, so now over to you guys. The connection here to Kevin Bacon.
So I we all worked at another company, but I don't know if we're allowed to mention names, but
Just some other company.
yeah, we worked for another company. I was actually started as a summer student because I actually didn't intend on becoming a plumber. So I started doing welding. I was actually in the union. That actually fell through. It was very dirty. Didn't really feel like actually doing it. And then I think, that summer, I cold called the company my uncle actually used to work for. That's how I got in there. And then met Aaron. He kind of took me under his wing and was like, you don't want to be doing all this drain service stuff. Kind of got me signed up. And now we're here. It's a little fast track of it.
And Meg?
I had a career in Europe, and then I came back to Canada and had a career here, and then was home with the kids during COVID and was out of what my previous career was for a few years. And I was like, okay, now I need to go get a job again, and I'm starting from zero. And my husband, serendipitously, Ian found it, job posting saying they need someone who gets stuff done. That was the exact quote that we read.
That was the search criteria?
That
Get
was
stuff done.
That was
I love
the.
it.
I don't think it was a swear word, but I definitely custom tailored my resume to I get stuff done. And I went in and I met with Aaron and Danielle, and the minute I found out they were from Dublin, I was like, this is going to go well. And then my husband's from Dublin, that's where I used to live. And then when I started talking to Aaron, Aaron's like, I've got these plans, I've got these ideas, I want to go places. And I was like, this is going to be perfect. So I'm just...
So the business wasn't already getting there, but you were planning on getting there
Oh,
at that time.
No, at that time it was still in full effect. When you joined, we had maybe 10 employees.
I was the 10th.
You were the 10.
Yeah.
And now we have 16 maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're on the way regardless. What mainly with Meg is, I think in your interview, did I walk into the room towards the end? And
Yes.
What was the question I asked? It was like, what did I say? I said, how are you with systems and processes or something like that? And like that was your thing. Like I can't remember the exact answer you gave me, and I literally went, "You're hired." Like when do you start?
Right there.
I am...
It was as simple as one question, and like that's what I wanted.
I don't know what I specifically said that day, but basically I am passionate about micro efficiencies.
Yeah.
And he was like,
There you go.
It's
Yep.
an answer to his question.
documentation is my friend.
Your other career has nothing to do with construction?
Absolutely not, no.
I just want to know. I'm just curious about that. I don't need to know about them, but
I was in...
you coming into this industry is completely different, and then how are you tackling that?
In Europe, I worked in international markets, global finance. And then when I came back to Canada, I couldn't do the same thing here because the qualifications didn't transfer. So I retrained and worked as a software engineer and wrote tax software. And then I was
Sounds
home
like a
for
lot of
3
fun.
years with the kids. I loved it, but so I do like documentation and numbers, and finding better, more efficient ways of doing things that have better benefits. I like micro efficiencies.
Are your tasks handled, like how do you handle your tasks off-site? Because it's easy for you guys, right? We know this. You get on a job site, you can see the map of what you need to do before you've even done it. But you're looking at what they need to get done, and you're not seeing that same visual. You know what I mean?
I don't have much to do with the specifics of plumbing. That I defer to them all the time. I would never ever speak to the amazing craft that they all work really hard at to be proficient in. I'm very good at visualizing the processes and the policies and the procedures and the things that they need to do from a back-end perspective, or the things that we need to provide as a company. I'm speaking as the company, sorry. That we need to provide as a company to facilitate having the best employees. And to have the best employees, you have to offer the best employer service. And that part I can visualize quite easily because it doesn't involve pipes.
No, I didn't mean that you didn't have the knowledge or the experience of it. Because what I respect about you, Erin, is when we first met and we started talking, is that you looked at the business side of plumbing instead of the trade side of plumbing first.
Yes.
Which we all know through anybody that's successful in this industry.
Yep.
If you look at the business side, then it's a no-brainer that the people will connect with you on that level.
Yep.
And then the skill side, it will just naturally fall in place.
Yes.
Because everybody has the skills to do that.
Yep.
So you're still treading in our waters regarding when I say that you do know the trade without actually being the tradesperson, is what I'm trying to get at by that. You
If
follow?
that's a compliment, thank you.
No, it totally is, because you, for lack of a better word, are organizing widgets. You're understanding the business side of things, but these guys and their tasks are the little details that are involved in the business. So you're just moving, I guess, the chess pieces around to make the game win.
Like I gotta say, like as far as like service and stuff goes, it's been way more streamlined ever since she started.
Oh, thank you.
Meg is amazing in the office.
like
You've never had an office lady like Meg. That's for sure, I'll tell you.
So you guys see it, like you.
Oh,
understand.
all the time.
It's been
So
a night
she
and day
understands
difference.
exactly what you guys have to do as a tradesperson.
It's not only that, it's that she'll answer the call. If not, she'll call you immediately right back. And it's always, there's no attitude, and that's a big thing. Like, I'm not saying like everyone has attitude, but I'm saying she's always friendly, and that's a big part. She's always willing to do what you ask. Like this morning, I was like, I have a dentist appointment Wednesday morning. I called Meg and said, hey, do I have any jobs? Is there anything pressing Wednesday? I was like, can you book that time off my board? No problem, done. Just like that. Just like that. She's always
My
there.
job is to facilitate all of the office back end stuff so you guys can focus on the important stuff that you're doing that's actually fixing problems in the world. I just fix the problems so that from the back end you guys don't need to be bothered with.
It's like when we show up on a job site, it's like everything's there. It's like we got the phone numbers, the address, any other contacts, the names, like what we
Lockbox
have to do.
code.
Yeah, lockbox code, like simple stuff like that. It's just always there now.
And she gets better every day because let's say she learns things. Oh, next time I'm going to ask for a lockbox because Jay said, like maybe you should start doing that. Or ask for pictures if you get a call and they're saying something along this lines, ask them for a picture because we need a picture, or a faucet, you know what I mean? And then she always gets pictures of faucets if we're going to replace one, so we can just things like that.
So Aaron, are you being spoiled because you're right out of the gate? You're achieving this versus your story is like you were bored out of your mind listening to the music and you're being asked to grab a hot fitting there and burning yourself and you didn't know whether to cry or hit the guy. And then I don't know, like you had a little bit of experience with welding. So it's like, we know that this is not the norm, guys, by the way. I just want to say that having an efficient business like this is not the norm.
Not at all.
Sure.
For many years, it was not like that. And then in the last few years or so, it's really like tightened up and gotten way more streamlined.
Yeah, the thing about when I got into this is the first thing I wanted to do was that I've seen it done wrong too many times.
Yeah.
So when I said to myself, I'm like, right, if I want to do this, I want to do it in a way to know that it's something that will outgrow me. It's something that I want to say. It's not a number. Like a lot of people say, oh, you want to be 100% owner or whatever. Like I hope to have a board of directors and partnerships and, like taking it to really the next level. And the strategy is to have a place that's good to work. When I'm employing people, the very first question I ask is, what do you want to do? I don't want to just give you a job because you showed up. I want you to come and tell me what the job you're looking to do is. And then my strategy is to see if I can place you within the company, right? So it's like at each time there's a different strategy for the person that you may want to hire. Yep. So it's very hard to work on systems and processes when you're small. But if you don't make that hire pretty early, what tends to happen, like Dakota was saying, it wasn't always this clean, is that you got to juggle doing everything. At one stage, I was doing the estimates, I was doing the work, and I was giving direction to 4 guys.
But you were noticing that it wasn't efficient.
It's definitely not efficient. It's next to impossible, and you pretty much burn out.
But that's the fear, right, with any business. You guys are analyzing this business, trying to figure out how to be more efficient, get you eventually off the tools and just managing the business and eventually get to the point where you grow something else at that point.
Yes.
But then you leave it in great hands that any new plumber that comes into the business, they understand the expert mindset.
Yeah.
So then they can just thrive in that business. You're not interested in having people come in for 6 months and get out. No. You're interested in finding out what their top skills are.
Yep.
And putting them in the right position to hone those skills.
Of course.
And then keep growing and then attract other plumbers to come on board.
I separate it from jobs to careers. You know, at some stage you're giving out jobs. And we do have a couple of guys, you know, maybe are here for a job. But the majority of people are here for a career. And then, you know,
nice.
The next step in your career, everyone here is here for a career, that's for sure. And it's like, and I say it to them all the time, like, where can we go with this? Like, what's the next step? What does that look like? You know, and recently with the heating things, Dakota and Jay, for the last year, you know, have been training in hydronic heating. And, you know, that's
just
something.
In-house.
Yeah, in-house. And
on your dime?
On Aaron's dime. Yep.
Because you see the return on that dime.
Yeah, because really now it's that, like, I've opened up a whole new industry, not only for myself, but for these guys to allow themselves to be challenged, you know, to go back to learning together. So even after being qualified, there's further learning. We're working in the shop together. We're working with educators. And, you know, it allows them to earn more money. It allows me to earn more money. It allows the growth. And it's great. Like,
yeah, it feels like you're in school for for myself the last 5 years. Even though I'm out of school now, I'm still in school.
On site is always the best school. I wish that they would just take the school and put it on site, right?
Literally.
Yeah, like for me, when I was doing my last 2 intakes, they're both during COVID, and it was brutal because it was all online. I'm like, how do you?
You can't.
Yeah, you just
Trade's
can't.
about being there, touching,
Exactly.
Understanding, communicating.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my math class, I don't know what your math class was like, but it was just like the teacher one day was like, all right, here's all your courses or like all your assignments. I'll see you in 8 weeks.
I guarantee you 50% of his class had to have failed. I don't know. I wouldn't have been able to pass it.
No,
I wouldn't have had.
I think they're just giving them out at that point. They're like, yeah, you showed up.
Yeah, but you still had to write your final
Yeah, you
after
did,
that,
yeah.
which was like no easy challenge when the
I
majority
know most of
your
the guys that like they did their final intake, but like I know for myself, like I waited like almost another year before I even challenged my final or my CFQ.
Okay.
And that was most of the guys as well, just because they didn't feel like they learned anything.
This show is brought to you by Dahl. With Dahl, you receive a lifetime of reliability not only in the product they make, but in the service they provide. From design to manufacture to technical support, with Dahl, you don't just get a great product, you get a team of expertise. Join the thousands of satisfied Dahl customers and experience the Dahl difference. As a GC, I can confidently say that Dahl means receiving a lifetime of reliability. It's not just about the exceptional products they manufacture, but also the outstanding service they provide every step of the way. From the initial design phase to the meticulous manufacturing process, Dahl demonstrates their commitment to excellence. Everyone knows I respect care and construction. Check out Dahl at www.dahlvalve.com and also on social at DahlValve. Meg, is your husband in the trades?
No, absolutely not. He's a
Okay.
designer.
He's a designer. So what was your perception of the trades before you got into this industry? Did you have any?
That they're just really, really hardworking
Careful,
people that I don't have to watch how much I swear around. That's the only difference
it's
from
true.
from like a more traditional, like modern office. I can swear more around these guys than they don't to bat an eye.
No, it's not
It's almost
swearing. It's just grammar.
Yeah, no, just very hardworking, and it's physically demanding versus mental hard work. That's a different kind of demanding. I didn't have a negative opinion about the trades, if that was what you were asking.
No, it was more of if you had a stereotypical opinion about the trades, what the majority of people think a tradesperson does. Blue collar, just dirt hands, stuff like that, right?
No,
You didn't see
I
that?
didn't. No.
You see hardworking individuals, they're providing a service, they're providing for themselves and their families, and they're working in this amazing industry. Right?
I admire and strive to be surrounded by intelligence and competency, and Aaron is very much both of those things. A couple of times I've called him a genius for things he's come up with. It's just a different kind of genius that they are.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm sure somewhere, not our company, there are tradespeople who aren't as exciting and awesome to be around. Unfortunately, I haven't encountered them because everybody at our team is awesome. But I just like being around people who get stuff done. So
All
they do.
employees at Expert Plumbing are paid for promotional reasons.
No, I'm not.
No, but then also the flip side, you guys see the value of having somebody that understands that business side. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It's almost a downfall of small businesses if they don't have a Meg, if they don't have somebody.
You need it. I said that even on the last.
several times, right?
Yeah,
it's so valuable.
100%. And, I would even consider it like in the early stages, it's definitely worth, because the problem with it is that it's a labor burden. Like I can't charge out for Meg's time, but what I can do is that make sure with Meg that the time that I'm charging for these guys is efficient and we're getting the right dollar, even from running profit and loss on jobs. So, and as things start to grow really fast, it's like, okay, we're estimating at this cost, but we're also growing. So it's like, how do you measure that? And how often do you measure that? Right? Because if you're going to go from 4 guys to 8 guys to 11 guys to 16 to 25, it's not like you're hiring one guy at a time.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So, and what tends to happen and where we're at right now is that because we can get jobs done so fast, now we have a lot of bigger companies reaching out to us where they want more work done quicker. They know we have the manpower. So now for next year, we imagine having twice the crew because of the job size is getting a lot larger.
But that's also, wouldn't you say that has a lot to do with the brand that you've presented into the market? Like the word is getting out there from your competition, not looking at you as competition, but as a collaborator. Sure. And all of a sudden you're like, let's hire them to come on and they'll help us achieve these other scopes that we're planning on doing.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the manpower to pull it off, or maybe the experienced manpower to pull it off.
Yeah, I think it's both. A bit of both, like the experience and the manpower. And then, for a lot of people, I think what it mostly is that, and I've said it before, if you don't have some type of gauge or handle on the numbers, you'll always be afraid to take that risk. And, you won't know if you can even afford to get into the bigger jobs. Like just say on the heating side of things, our first couple of jobs, like I have enough in the cash account to float a few jobs. So we don't have to worry about our first 3 jobs to get in there and say be profitable. Now, if I was to say, let's get into the heating side of things, but we need to make sure that I can't lose money on the first job, how would you ever start?
You can't.
You can't, right? So unless you have somebody in the office.
I wouldn't want to be on it. I feel like
yeah.
I don't want to be that guy.
Right? You guys aren't interested in going to work for a failure.
No.
The pressure's too hard. Like
Yeah.
the pressure is hard enough for what and all trades guys have equal pressure because everyone has a similar story, whether the power's off or the water's not on or whatever it is. You're coming, you got to get it done. So they don't want to be working in conditions where on top of that, they come back, the job is done, you put in all the hard work, and then it's like, yeah, but it's at a loss, so fuck it, like, you know.
I think that Hamilton's slightly different when it comes to co-op, but what was the sales pitch from the co-op teacher for you?
I'm from Hamilton, so I was born and raised in Hamilton.
So they got a sense of, but how, when they presented it to you, like,
so it went like this. I wanted to be an electrician, and I went there, and I realized that day that a lot of other kids had signed up for that, and I said, screw that, like, what else you got? I said, you got any elevator? They're like, no. And then the one guy goes, oh, my buddy's a plumber. I can see if he's got any spot for co-op. So then that's how he sold me. He said, my buddy's a plumber, and you want to give it a shot? So I gave it a shot, and first couple weeks I was out there, I mean, the guys I worked with, there's probably 14 different people that I bounced off of on any given, like in those 2 years, it was from him to him to him to him. Like, it didn't matter, you know? And not much on the co-op other than they make a bit of money off you for the first 5 months, you know? Like, that's how they sell it to you.
Yeah, that's all it is, right? Yeah. But I mean, the whole idea is eventually they'll take you on board.
Exactly, and that's a bit upsetting when you get taken on board and you're like, I'm going to be licensed by 22, and now I'm 23, and I still got another year left. And it's like, what the heck, you know? I should have been signed up 5 months into or a year into after doing it, but you get held back. And
Isn't there more value, though? You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but as a business owner, it's almost short-sightedness by getting a co-op student, not taking them on as an employee.
It also could have been in that certain circumstance that the boss's son was also starting that year and wanting to be signed up, so that could also have something to do with it.
But I mean, I'm thinking like getting a kid come in, do the co-op, and then all of a sudden don't hire them, get another kid, do the co-op, and then don't hire them, keep on doing that as a business owner. That's not making your business grow. No. But if you take that kid and you train that kid and they get better and they want to improve and they want to learn, they want to educate themselves, then they become an employee, they're contributing to your business now. Isn't that what they're doing?
Yeah. Like,
which you also got to get a kid that like wants it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just frustrating people.
Have to have the availability and the ratios. You have to have a journeyman to match to that apprentice. You can't just have a bunch of apprentices.
Yeah.
Like when I started, what was it, like 2 to 1 or something?
No, it's 1 to 1.
It's 1 to 1.
Yeah,
no, it was still 1 to 1 when we
started.
It not in any time I've been in Canada, you know. So I've only ever experienced in Canada 1 to 1. Yeah.
Well, that's how they say you can get a learning experience. How else would you, you know? Like, technically, you have to have a one-on-one experience is what they're saying.
We bought in a co-op student. It was our first one last year, was it?
Yeah, probably. I'd say probably a year ago.
And, you know, what we found for him was that his parents had a fund for him for education. So we told him, go and do your gas. Go get your gas ticket. If ever you had a chance to, you know, get paid to do something, go get a ticket that will assist in being a plumber. Yeah. So that's what he did. He basically signed up for that, and he'll go now for the next year and a bit. And when he comes back, he'll come back as a gas guy. So then at least then I can start him somewhere where he's not, you know, it's 2023, 24 now. So it's, you know, gone is the day where you can give someone $10 an hour to assist you type of thing, right? Everybody needs a livable wage. And it's like, what's a livable wage when you want to be a helper?
Yeah.
That's a very difficult thing for businesses and anyway, all employers, right? And an employee, because as much as you want to learn, you want to make some money too. So we said, go get your ticket, come back. At least they can now pay you as, you know, you can fire up a boiler or something. Even if you don't have the experience, you can go with a guy that doesn't have the ticket.
Bounce off each other.
Right? You got a guy like Dakota, he doesn't have a gas ticket, but he can certainly do the install.
And then learn and grow.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's the whole objective of a tradesperson, right?
Yeah. So then you trade that off. You take in one of these kids that can actually, you know, bring a bit of value to the company, put him with a guy that knows what he's doing, and then you can pay him fairly, and there you go. Like, this is a bit of a strategy, you know.
Why not go the union route, that traditional?
Union, like, I wouldn't say that it's out of our future altogether. I think that, you know, a lot of people know about the stigma of the union and what we say about the union. You know, I'm not saying that those things are true or whatever, that people are lazy there and that. I know.
I wasn't even getting to that point. I was just, listen, I got my opinion about the union, and there could be a knock on the door at any given time, right? Just to make that stereotype come alive, but I was saying that what I'm respectful about your business is that you're treating your employees and you're building your employees almost in the same way that unions were originally designed to do for the employees.
Of course.
That's where I was going with it.
Oh, okay.
So you're offering the same benefits and the same opportunities and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's like without the union stigma, I guess, attached to it.
That's exactly, that's what I'm trying to achieve, to be honest with you.
Because you see the value of that.
Yeah,
and
well,
not the corruption part of it, right?
Yeah.
Not saying all unions are corrupt. I'm just saying
100%.
that.
We brought in a financial advisor last week, and Meg had a meeting with another financial person last week too.
Yep. We, again, part of like getting the best employees is providing the best employer service.
Yeah.
So we have now started quarterly breakfast and learns. And so we brought in a financial planner who came and everybody got breakfast and just sort of went through a whole bunch of things to think about for saving for your own retirement, to if you want to buy your first house, to different things, thinking about children's educations, depending on what stage in life the guys were at. And then after that, I met with another banker from the same company, and we went all through how we're going to, at some point in the future, don't hold me to a date, but soon.
2024.
Soon, we've done all the research. It's just you can't have everything day one. Sometimes things do take steps and a little bit of time. But to create and facilitate having pension programs for all the guys on the job. So they...
Profit share pension program.
Yeah, it's called a deferred profit sharing plan. I think that's the right acronym. And so that way, whatever they want to contribute to a certain amount will match, and they can grow themselves with where their situations are, and we can always change it and increase it. We're not locked into a very specific thing. We can, as the business grows, we can offer more, which is one of the things that is really awesome about Aaron, that he cares about people that way. And I've got a few more breakfast and learns I'm lining up for the rest of the year, and we're...
When the RBC guy was over, like, he was showing us a strategy that basically if you started an apprentice at 20 years of age, if you stuck with the company and for, I think it was $5,500 a year in a compound retirement fund, that basically at 65 there'd be $1 million sitting in that account. So again, like, for me, you know, the worst thing that could happen to me in my eyes is that Dakota has been with me since the start of his apprentice. Jay has been with me now for the majority of it. And, you know, my team is like an extended family. There's none of these guys I could look in the eye at the end of the day and say, thanks for your service. It's just not that simple, like, you know. So it's like, and I've heard people on the show and people say it before, it's that it all boils down to profit percentage. And at the end of the day, like, you know, I don't want to show up in my Porsche and these guys say, look at this fucking asshole. I don't have a Porsche, by the way. But someday, please God. But you know what I'm saying is that, like, there's much more value for myself as an employer and as an entrepreneur to strategize my business where people, you know, feel good, right? It's like, so that's majorly important.
It makes a lot of sense, but you're rare too, right? I understand that.
Very.
Not a lot of, I mean, to be very honest, guys, you guys be honest about it, but do you know anything about that financial side of being a tradesperson? Were you already thinking about financial planning, about your retirement? You're getting into the game. Were you thinking about your getting out of the game part?
No, my game was just trying to get into the game at all.
Just get on the ladder.
Just to get on the tools and stuff. But you want to make your money grow as best as possible without it being taken away from our almighty government, right?
For sure. It was nice. It was refreshing that the company allowed that, because I set up an RSP not too long ago, and I remember it was hard for me to find that time, so it was nice that they brought that in and allowed that for me to be like, oh, maybe I couldn't book a little bit of time off if I didn't have one, if I wanted to make a move in that direction, or I had a little bit of more information on it, you know, because maybe your hours are so crazy you don't want to ask your boss for time off, you know. It was nice that they can bring it in and say, oh, here's breakfast, you know, take the time. You guys want to work with your money? Here's a professional who can help you with it, you know. Not only can you go out and do it, but we'll bring him to you, and he's going to bring you breakfast. So
And he works with the company as well. So even for like as much as investing, like small things like that, it's, you know, to bring into the workplace about doing things outside of work. And that's a conversation I always have with the group too. It's not all about plumbing. It's also a lot of what we do in plumbing and how we show up every day is what goes on outside.
Yep.
Right. So we all got to stay mentally fit, physically fit. You know, from everything. Like one of my guys there that went through a bit of a bad patch, so been showing up at the gym with him 5:30 every morning. You know, and then
Everybody is, or just
no, just me and him. Like,
Okay.
yeah, he's just wanted to get a bit fitter and he wanted to get back on it. So
How old is he?
he's the same age as myself. He's a bit younger than me. Like,
It's
you
funny
know,
how
so-
you guys hit 40. Wait till you hit 50, you start seeing what
Yeah,
happens,
right.
man.
and as an employer, like there's many different ways of helping your team out. So I want to make sure they all get their homes, start their
Yes.
families,
Yes.
you know. So, and then like again, like for myself and being the employer, that's the best way it can be, right? Not
So-
everyone's going to be like that.
No,
though.
they can't. That's what I was saying is that you guys are at an advantage here, right? Because we've heard all the horror stories about the stereotypes attached to it, right?
yeah, Aaron doesn't need to come out and check on most things I do, but like just for instance, the other night I was in Toronto with one of our newer guys, and I was on a job and I wasn't stuck, but he knew I was there figuring something out, and I didn't let him know before I left. I figured it out. It was all good, and I left. And then he called me. He's like, "Oh, you just passed me." He came an hour and a half at 8 o'clock at night. He's got 2 babies. You know, he came out to make sure we
Put
were
the
okay.
kid to bed. I could hear it in his voice, and to be honest, again, like the stakes are high, so the jobs are new.
Yeah.
And like I understand how frustrating it can be. It's very challenging what tradespeople do. The pressure when you're standing in someone's home or in a business, and you know it has to be finished, and it's all looking at you. You haven't had lunch today. You're 16 hours in. You got your own home stuff going on. It's not.
There's a
it's-
lot on
You
it's
don't
a
even know what
lot,
your hands
right?
are doing anymore. Like you're just doing what
Yeah.
you can to try and get home.
What's the ratio for expert nowadays for commercial and residential? What are you guys doing? It's not a 50-50 split.
No, we're more resi.
Resi now,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
You guys are liking the resi more than the commercial?
It's personal preference, honestly. Like
I like it all. Like it's nice to break it up and do something different.
that's it.
Dakota's on a fairly large commercial job at the moment.
Restaurant downtown.
Jay was on a commercial job in London today.
Big commercial one in London. We
How
finished.
far are
up.
you going? You're going to London? You're going to Toronto?
London's rare. We just have a client that brought us out there.
Okay.
You got with clients, you're going to stick with them. So,
Yeah.
and again,
Relationships.
for Toronto too, it's like we don't like going there. But no offense to Toronto people, but we don't like
I'll
going
defend
there.
them.
From here to Toronto, from here to London, I'd rather drive to London than here to
Oh,
Toronto.
100%.
You know what I
Totally.
mean?
Actually, it's the same amount of time if you think
It's
about it.
probably more time to go to Toronto.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I
unless
mean.
you're
It's
getting
just-
good times in the day.
It's
you're
a
not-
shit show,
you're-
yeah.
Everyone's
Toronto's
like, you go to
closer, but-
London? I'm like, you go to Toronto?
You got to get an export helicopter.
Might be nice, isn't it?
You haven't seen the garage.
I will get on searching funding opportunities for that.
So Meg's also the one that's been handling a lot of the just networking and building expert, trying to figure out other ideas and moving forward, stuff like that.
Yeah, like mainly when I hired Meg, I was like, this is, you know, the difficulty was that like I needed, what would that job be? That would be like an operator. So someone who would answer the phone and do all the scheduling, dealing with the guys. Like when running a service business, there's a huge cost on the back end for all your advertising dollars, making sure that you know you're answering the phone correctly, that you're tracking all of this, and that you're providing the service that you're putting out there online. Otherwise, you'll lose that 5-star rating pretty fast. And that's the trick to service, is that you know, like it's a bit of a double-edged sword like that. It's like you want all the work, but then when the work comes, if you don't have a way to handle that, you'll find out that you're spending a ton of money on marketing and you're actually at a loss. Like, so
How are you guys handling, I guess, on all levels here? Because you can go from the owner, you can go from the tradesperson, and you can go from the administrative side of things, a negative situation. In construction, it exists.
I'll give you one.
Sorry?
I'll give you one. Yeah.
Okay, one
So
more
how are
time.
you guys handling, like, okay, on site, there's an issue, something's going
So,
on.
just for example, on this one, we had a job a few years back. I I deal with most of the contractors. Like I said, like we're given the opportunity to deal with contractors one-on-one. You're not going to learn otherwise, I don't think. It's going to be very hard for you to learn unless you're put out there. And we read schematics, drawings, and architectural drawings. And I had one of a shower valve. It was on a commercial job. And
What brand?
it was
House of Roll.
House of Royal.
So high
It
end.
was a good one.
High-end royal.
And you think all the
belt.
ducks are lined up.
Yes,
Oh,
a
they
brand
were.
you can trust. Yeah.
They were. But when the contractor came, who I met with 2 or 3 times, and he said, "Oh, I want this valve on the left side wall. I don't want it on the center wall." And I'm like, "No problem, man. You know, you're still green. You put it on the left side wall. You finish, tile goes up." And he goes, "Why didn't you do it the way the drawing says?" "What do you mean? Don't you remember when you came up to me and told me not to do it? Told me to put it on the other wall?" And they just set you up like that. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. They want this guy to say, "Oh, you don't have to pay that bill."
Yeah, that happens a lot. Not a lot, but look, we put systems into play. I'll give
And
you
then
one.
she helps with that. Is all I'm trying to get at. Is
Yeah.
those things don't happen anymore. Because when someone comes to me and asks me to do something, I have 6 different papers in my truck.
like,
my
was it in
little
the quote?
booklet.
Was it in? Yeah, so quote, and let me put that out there for people who may be starting or anybody. So when we see estimates and when I see a competing estimate, it's most of the time you just put them in the bin because all they do is lead you into liability because whatever it does or doesn't say in your estimates what you're going to be held to. So let me give you an example. This estimate is for the domestic plumbing of this address. Okay, that's great. So you spec me out all copper and all cast. Well, when you go to court, because that homeowner thought, in his opinion, that it would be all copper and cast in a residential, even though that doesn't exist,
That's not the norm.
right? But it doesn't matter because you're the professional and you didn't specify. And he's in the right not to know because he's not the professional. Now, that breaks down, like that's on the ridiculous end. But I'm getting down to like trap seals, trap primers, trap guard, 2-inch shower drain, 3-function shower, 6-function shower. Pick one. 12-function shower, right?
I saw a nice little trick early on in my career from a slab fabricator. And so we all know that a lot of natural slabs have different patterns. Like it's Mother Nature. You're cutting part of Mother Earth and you're taking a slab out. He started photographing every slab that came in and took that image and was drawing exactly where the range or the sink, where the faucets. You're signing off on everything. This is the slab. This is the pattern of the veins. This is where it's going. It's a photograph. And so if there ever was a problem that it gets photographed and it shows up on site, and then the client decides to change their mind,
We draw
that's not
like-
exactly where we wanted the sink. That's not exactly where the faucet's supposed to go. You guys are documenting it. And this is something I learned 10, 12 years ago. And I was like, that's such a clever way to get out of a pickle.
Better if they change something, you'd be like, "Cool, sign this."
Yeah. So
Yeah, but you can always fight that, like you said, that left side. Like you can always have that. We never had that conversation. Play dumb.
It's
at that
all.
point,
It's
right?
all. You. She said. He said. She
Yeah.
said. It's,
Let me just get my bigger wrench and let's see
Yeah,
if
exactly.
we can actually have this
Mine's- yeah,
conversation now.
exactly.
So they now have packages that they all carry with them that have a stack of different types of papers and procedure policies for them. And so anytime the customer wants something different from what was originally planned, or they want something that could lead to a situation that the guys get themselves in, we have a thing that they just read it and then you sign it. And then if there's anything going forward afterwards, you sign it. And people who on site who don't have the authority to pay for what they sign tend to not sign.
Of course.
So then they're like, "Oh no, wait,
The
whatever,"
game is
and you're
on.
like,
yeah.
"Customer service, we're happy to make you happy. Whatever you want us to do, you just have to sign. You'll pay for it." And then if they don't have that authority, they find who does have the authority, or the concept gets dropped.
You need to make like an expert optometry chart. Right? Just go here, read this.
Yeah.
Fine print right down at the bottom.
Seriously.
Sign it. If you work in the trades, maybe you're a plumber, a framer, or an electrician, you need to check out Black Ladder Workwear. Their work clothes are tough, functional, and durable, much like you might find in high-end outdoor gear, but it's designed specifically for work in the trades. They put a ton of intentional thought into their products, everything from knee pad inserts, zip-off utility pockets, and reinforced inseams. They've got it all. Visit blackladder.ca/en/TCL to learn more and take 15% off your order by using code TCL at the checkout. No, but it's just, I was going to ask you, Jay, when you're on site and you see these Sparkies come on site, do you get a little glassy eye, or that your career didn't go that way?
I mean, I get along with most people. I'm pretty small. I fit in between everyone, you know. No one really talks to me. Like,
But there's always that little rift between you guys and the electricians.
Oh, I always bust
And
their
vice
balls.
versa,
I
whatever.
nearly got knocked down by one the other day.
The ones in London I'm on right now are good guys. They let me use their scissor lift, actually. I was like, you mind if I use it? No problem. So I'd say it depends on who you get.
Okay.
I feel like if you're on job sites with a lot of them, it tends to be okay because they don't have anyone to bully. It's when there's one-on-one, you know, it turns into a bit of
Is
a
that how they
competition.
find time to just make the day go by fast? Is that what it is? Or why can't we just focus on the scope and make the time fast go that way?
Because they're
Always pulling their
smarter.
wire.
They're smarter. They know way more.
Are you seeing, because I think that with the brands that are associated with your trade, are they doing as much homework as you guys are doing for your business? When I talk about that, I'm talking about all the new kinds of products, all kinds of new tools, all kinds of new, I guess, solvents that could be, like all kinds of just PKs, just knowledge everywhere.
Please don't ruin all my breakfast and learns in the future.
Yeah, I would say like the industry is like.
It's hard to say. We
Are
don't.
they
Get
stepping
we
up?
don't get too much of a look into their industry. I mean, I don't have anything to compare it to. You know, like to say how they do their every day. You know.
Like as in comparing it to plumbing from the past type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's very advanced now. And
Yeah, plumbing
there's a
I'd say is
tool for
advancing
everything,
faster.
right?
Like plumbing is like Rigid, Milwaukee. They're all coming out with something like you want a unistrut cutter. Oh, these guys make 2 of them. Or like,
This guy puts up a post of soldering, and all the comments are, you know, you can press. You know, you can press. Why would you do
Yeah.
that? Like, it's
like a
you
joke
could
at
have
this
you
point.
could have
Am I
left
stupid
6
to say
hours
that
ago.
I like soldering. Like I respect. Okay, there's no romance in a press. There's plenty of romance in a solder.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh, if you do it right,
Totally
it lasts
understand what I'm
like
talking.
80
When
years.
that solder wicks right around and it almost, you hear that sound and you're tone deaf, you could still hear it.
Yeah.
But the press is like, it's not the
Yeah.
same. It's not. There's no romance in the press.
Of course, but you don't spend the night out to be in and out and gone in a second, do you? You know what I mean? You don't spend a career in plumbing learning what the fuck to do to be there for 2 minutes.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. That's how I would compare the two now. I know. Listen, press is magic. It totally
Sure.
is magic. But there's an artistry.
It's time and place for press. We like to
Yes.
say like if we're pressing, like we did that heating job the other day. We had 7 steel lines. They're all an inch apart from each other. Like we're not threading those. We're
Yeah.
not,
7
like,
o'clock on a Friday, something's leaking? Absolutely.
Like
Yeah,
exactly.
big time.
If you're biting onto steel or if your copper's this far off the ground in your main service, you know what I mean? You throw a valve on there and press it. Like
But your estimates are
Well,
dramatically increased.
Well, we had one a while ago. We were doing 4-inch, and what was it, like a 4-inch press tee, if I recall, was $600.
600 or something.
Wasn't it?
Something like
And a
600
solder one was what, 250 or 300 or something. Now, listen, like I don't care how long you think it takes to solder 3-inch. The guy was paid, profit
I
made.
priced it out.
like,
I
it's-
compared it to a job we did, and I think it was, if not, I made out okay. It took me longer. It took me, let's say, 6 hours, but the math I did was you would have had to press it and repipe everything in an hour and a half to match my price with the press fitting
Price
cost.
yourself out in fittings.
You know what I mean?
The thing about what a lot of people are saying, I think it's, you see it a lot with younger people these days as well, is that, oh, like you're in and out. So fair enough, like if you're a one-man show and you're trying to get 6 calls done a day,
Yeah.
and you're pressing 3/4 inch and
Sure.
inch, yeah, sure, whatever. But when you're going to do a backflow install and you need the license first off to be in the game, and then it's all 2-inch or 3-inch or 4-inch, you go and you set up, you bring the bench. It's
Yeah.
like he doesn't want me to say, or Dakota, show up, be done in 4 hours
I
and
don't
get
wanna
on to the
press it
next
either.
one. They're like, what the hell? They want to
No.
do their job, stand back, look at it, like it, right? What happened to that?
How long you got to heat up a 4-inch?
Not long with the tips they make. Like people make it seem like it's the hardest thing.
Oh, yeah.
People
Oh, the
throw
bigger
their
the
biggest
pipe, the
fit.
way easier it is.
Now, I'm
Ah.
saying
It
that
heats up faster?
I thought it heats up
holds
faster.
It
It's
holds
just
it longer. Once
It
it's
hold-
there, you
that's
can
true.
just drop
There's
it
more
in.
material, so then the heat is.
People don't know how
Yeah.
to solder big fittings. You know what I mean? People always tell me, you didn't tin that fitting. I'll solder a 4-inch fitting with just sanding it. Like tinning, they say, is you have to melt solder on it and then put it together, sand it back out. Like I could see my bead run in there. It's just a matter of knowing what you're doing and someone being able to teach you how to solder. People
and
are
not
scared
trying to
of it.
solder it with a 3/4 inch tip. We
Yeah.
use the oxetylene torches, and
With
the
a
tip for a
size of your
4-inch.
thumb, you know?
Yeah, they're probably like $300 for the
It was.
tip.
It is
They're
a
not-
$300
they're not-
torch tip for sure.
Yeah, they're not
It's
cheap.
wow.
you know.
Why does every plumber that brings in that torch starts walking like they're Anton from No Country from Old
That's how it feels, man.
That's how it feels, right? It totally
That's why I don't
feels
want
like
to
that.
press. You bring in a press, you like feel like you have a purse. You know what I mean?
It's like you're
Want to knock some door
you're
handles
Chanel
out with
badge.
that torch.
But in the end, it's about what you guys feel is the right way to achieve the scope. That's like you're looking at the whole picture, not the eagle picture of what's the coolest, latest, most expensive toy to be used.
Because you don't need to.
You don't need to sometimes, right? Probably most of the time you don't need to.
Yeah, look, the press thing is like, you know, like it's a social media thing for the most part. When you get out there and you look at what most of the bigger companies are doing, like here's the thing, and if I was to say it to any of these guys, we run a profit and a loss on a job, and we're a profit share company. Am I putting money in your pension, or am I spending money on press fitting so you can go home early? Pick one.
Very strong point. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I totally agree with
and
you.
I don't think it's that, like, because I would like to see who's marking these fittings. Like, we're typically marking our fittings up anywhere from, you know, you want to be starting around 30%, and some guys are going up to 50%. Won't tell you what to do, but you're going to take these fittings will price you out of any game if that's what you're doing. And your labor, how quick can you do something? Like, and is that
But if
what
you're skilled labor, you can do it probably just as quick.
I think so. I just don't think it was ever set up like that. Like, you know, I didn't get into the trade to be worked really fast and someone to say, yeah, well, at least they won't leak. It's like,
At least they will.
yeah, like
My biggest gripe is press when I see a so-called skilled tradesperson and they finish and things are not plumb and things are not level.
They never are with press,
The press
because
will
you know
pull you.
what? It's like an octagon. Or
so you
whatever.
need the other guy to hold it while you press it.
But then
And
they
now
let it
you're
go and
like,
it's like, oh, that won't leak. But yeah, but that looks like shit.
It
Like,
does.
And it's
It
never the
things up
fitting
like
that you can
that.
actually get the tool in to press
course.
it anyways. Like,
People on it, like you said, it's an Instagram thing. I got the biggest tool and you don't have this. You know what I mean?
I don't care. I got the skill.
Yeah, exactly.
I can solder
It took me
anywhere.
longer to cut out the steel. Like, you would have been cutting out steel still. You know what I mean? You're still, now you've outpriced yourself. Like, you've already, in the time it takes you to demo, you can't go faster because your fittings cost so much. You can't. There's no way around it. You've taken too much time.
How did you, Aaron, and I guess Meg, you probably worked together on how, when you guys started seeing material costs start climbing through the roof, how did you guys start to balance, I guess, the business because you were growing at a certain pace?
yeah.
And all of a sudden, just material greed came along and just said, we're going to start charging this much for this stuff. How did you guys start to balance in the business side of things?
House Call Pro, like, shout out to House Call Pro. I'm an ambassador. Use my name as a code. No, I'm joking. But look, if you have a CRM, that's what it's going to do for you. Because realistically, you need to be in touch with the suppliers. You want to be getting notified. And Mike taught me this again. It's that when there is a change in the industry, we're changing with it. So from day to day, we're trying not to overstock. We're just trying to keep the fittings that we're using from day to day. But in saying that, when the industry changes, we change with it. So if we're holding stock and then it goes up 20%, we're going up 20% the same day. It's just, it's the game that you play. You have to, right? So now if you don't have a software or some type of CRM, that will be very difficult to tackle. Meg every day now gets a copy of anything purchased through Expert Plumbing sent over within a 24-hour time period. And what that allows her to do is keep track of everything. So everything has a job number. If it doesn't have a job number, why? Everything has a place where it needs to be. So then at the end of every job, we can either take back the materials that was the overspill and get a true cost on a material takeoff for that job.
Am I wrong to say that some suppliers treat certain businesses differently than...
Yeah.
You know where I'm going at. You got a small one-man shop kind of business. They're not treated as well as a business that probably has 12 or 20 employees. Why can't the suppliers treat everybody equally here?
I don't know. I think that there's a big problem in the industry with that. I've seen guys lose out on jobs, and in my earlier days, I've found it hard to compete. The problem is with these suppliers is that I'm not sure how any suppliers are allowed to have people walk in without a plumbing license. I think it should be an absolute standard that in any trades industry that you at least need a trades card, at least to be an apprentice, to be signed up, to walk into any wholesalers. Costco will not allow me to walk in without a membership.
That's just to buy
No,
food.
seriously,
It's a
right?
valid point.
Like how, and this has happened to me. So I will be on a job and I had this guy and he wants to work on, I have my own plumbing materials. Oh, well, I can't use them, liability issues. All right, well, will you buy them off me? Sure, that's fair. I'll buy them off you. But I can only buy them off you for what I pay. So as long as you're comfortable with me buying them off you for what I buy them for. Well, this guy takes out a receipt from his suppliers I won't mention and shows it to me and has my discount. This guy's doing one job, and it's
Has
like
the same discount.
has the same discount.
That's not right.
And
Buy in bulk.
no, it's like so it's like you.
Did the suppliers start doing that because they just wanted to open up their network and just get more sales? Is that why they started doing that?
I would say some do it more than others. I know some suppliers from my inside sales guys that they tell me when the general public come in that they price them out and they're happy to watch them walk out the door. And then there's other suppliers, they don't have the same strategy. They want to sell to all and make the sales, right?
That's short-term sightedness. It's like the co-op student thing. It's the same.
It's terrible. We'll put it on a backflow. There was a day where, say if you're in the backflow industry and you're selling these backflow devices, well, you couldn't be an average person and have any understanding of what that cost was. Now you don't have to have a backflow license or a plumbing license, and you can basically walk into one of these suppliers and say, how much could I buy one of those valves for? And then return to your plumber and say, hey man, why are you charging me so much for this when I know the valve can be purchased for this? And that's happening a lot out there. So
It's the supplier's fault, though.
sure, and all it's doing is it's not good for the industry, and it's not good for the people within the industry because we're professionals, right? So
But you're creating a network of DIY handy
Big
men
time.
and women.
Well, how many
Big
times
time.
does this happen? You're on a job, you have to go get something, you go to the supplier, and then now you're waiting for just some homeowner who's talking to the sales rep,
He's got
trying
a
to
piece
get
of rubber
like
half.
an aerator for a faucet that doesn't exist. And it's this is what Home Depot's for.
literally,
And then
And they don't
there's
care.
only one guy
They'll-
behind
they'll
the
deal with
desk, and
it.
then now you're got 20 minutes of time wasted just waiting to get served.
yeah.
So that's a phone call I get where when they call up and they say, oh, how much will this cost? And I'm like, well, I can tell you the time plus the cost of the materials and everything. And people say, oh, that may be more than whatever they had expected in their mind. And I'm like, okay, that's perfectly fair. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're calling around to get other numbers or comparative numbers, please make sure you ask them about this and this. And make sure that you can ask them if their price includes this and this. We're very transparent. This is included in ours. Make sure you ask that question. And if you are getting someone who could come in, if they're a handyman, they're going to require to have this extra component. So make sure that you have someone who has all of these things. Our guys are qualified with all of these things. When these are the questions you need to ask the next person you phone. It's very quickly turns around into, okay, all right, we'll just book the service then with you because you know what you're doing and you're on top of it. And a minute ago when you guys were all talking about the ProPress stuff,
Yep.
I understood maybe about 10%. And you'd said about how you were, about how we grow our brand and everything. These guys are passionate about what they do. It's a craft for them. And so very easily we retain customers and we grow new customers because the quality of work, they care about what they do. And that can come through when you explain pricing to people. And it's not that hard to convert someone from saying, oh, that's crazy, I've got a cousin who could do it for less. Okay, does your cousin A, B, Y, C, D? And you can get them to come around and go, oh, I am hiring a qualified professional. I am paying for the skill and the craft. And
then
it's
stand by it after the fact.
not every single call goes that way, but I'd say a lot of them I can turn them around.
But you're not dismissed to actually educate these people to understand that there's a skill behind this craft and we are professionals. But there's a lot of businesses out there that won't even bother, and you're losing a sale at that point, a potential sale, if you don't educate that potential client.
Sure. Well, you know what's a really hard one, and I don't know how plumbers sell them these days? Toilets. That's gone is the day a plumber can sell you a toilet. And the reason being is because Home Depot offer the best prices across the
I
board.
I had a major problem with Home Depot specifically when they were selling toilets cheaper than suppliers were selling it to professionals.
Still are.
It's the
So
same
that's
toilet.
always-
And I know they still are, and it's also an issue of mine with Wayfair, and now Amazon's getting into the game as well
killer.
too. And what I learned from speaking to some suppliers, specifically plumbing suppliers, I won't name the name, the volume they do with these entities is far greater than the volume they do with you guys. So they have to give these entities preferred, which is total horseshit in my opinion.
Yeah, because and how do we have the opportunity to do volume? My strategy for a supplier would say if that's the case, then how do you match Home Depot and stuff so you can make it more competitive? Because if my suppliers could give me toilets I could make profit on, I would be buying them. And like the suppliers are saying, we're not selling enough. I know you're not selling enough because we're priced out buying them.
Priced out.
It's like,
But it's also, you got to go back to the manufacturer that are selling these toilets at that discounted volume that's way below a professional's trade price.
I'll give you a good story about one that happened to us about 2 years ago. We had a client, he's a bit picky. He values their service, but he wanted Kohler toilets. They're not cheap. Home Depot had them on for sale. So this guy goes and picks up 6 of them. We go out, we install 6 toilets. It wasn't cheap, regardless. About a year goes by and all 6 toilets fail. This guy calls up. He's pissed off. We did a bad install because all of these toilets failed. Couldn't be the toilets. It was
There's
us.
3 components to a toilet.
Right? So we go back out and the components inside the toilet are failing. Fill
Yes.
valves are failing.
Yes.
Flush valves are failing. The flush valve in particular was one of these housing style ones.
A
Canister.
tower.
Like a tower, canister type of thing.
Canister one, yeah.
So I say to him, okay, fair enough. We diagnosed the issue to what's wrong. Here's an invoice for being here today. Oh, jeez, that didn't go down well. It's like, oh, you want to tell me how much it is to, tell me what's wrong with what you installed. But again, you bought them. I didn't
manufacture this toilet.
Yeah, and here's why we would mark up our fittings. And the reason being is because if I sell you a toilet with a markup, you can call me back. And when you call me back and it doesn't work, I don't charge you to fix it. Or I have to follow up with the manufacturer. I do that on your behalf because I'm incorporating the markup. Where you win some, you lose some, right? For the most part, you back yourself with a good brand and you win. But the odd time something happens, you call the suppliers, they send you out a new part, you go, you fix it, you keep the client happy. When you buy your toilet from somewhere else or any fixture, where's the room for me to come back and do anything?
Did he buy 6 toilets and 6 speakers while he was at it too? On the back of a van?
Right.
That's what I'm getting at. It's just because with Kohler, I just did this recently. I had a diverter valve that failed. The O-rings.
From
2
Home
of them.
Depot?
Sorry?
Home Depot?
No. From Kohler,
Yeah.
right? From a reputable supplier and everything like that. I call up Kohler. It's 10 plus years.
Sure.
They sent a new part.
Well, sorry. So with these toilets, there was that, and I'm not knocking Kohler, they were discontinued. They were on sale.
Well, hang on a sec. The canister, the parts are not discontinued.
That
That's
was-
what I was saying is I joking about there's 3 parts to a toilet. There's the
Yeah.
canister, there's the...
But the canister, the
the actual-
flushing
actually,
assembly
the
was
flushing.
what was discontinued.
The ones they'll
and
sell you
that's
at a
why all
wholesaler?
of those toilets were on
Oh.
sale. So the toilet that he was typically looking for was probably a $650 toilet. They had it on for like $400 or $380 or something. And the reason being was because when they sold it to him, they didn't
They knew
mention,
that it was
by
gonna-
the way. So
Yeah.
we reach out to Kohler. They have a new part that goes in the place of that, but it's not for free. You gotta pay for it. Then we had to go disassemble them all, put the new parts in, and charge them for it. That's what had to happen, right?
But I've been surprised with Kohler on how there's been plenty of I've had a client one time, she used an abrasive cleaner on her toilet seat, and I was specifically telling her, showed it in the manual, do not use any abrasive cleaners on these plastic components, you will scratch them. And she said, no, I never use an abrasive. I go, fine, don't worry, I'll take out the seat, I'll order a new seat, I'll put a new seat. And then I'm just curious, so I look underneath the vanity, and what's in there? There's an abrasive cleaner. I didn't say anything. I just smiled and changed the seat, and that was it. It's fine. I go, listen, do not use, and I just winked at her. I was going, like Vim? You want to use Vim on there, please? Just soap and water if you can. She goes, no, I don't use Vim.
Yeah. We get that all the
You guys get that all the time. That's what I mean,
stuff.
because they're still products, and there's ways of keeping these things clean, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of clients don't understand that you cannot. Like, I know a lot of parents that have lots of boys.
Yeah.
They try to tell the boys not to flush every time they pee, because boys, when they're young, they pee every 10 seconds.
Sure.
So they'll leave it in the bowl, and I'm like, you can't leave urine in the bowl.
Yeah.
Because it'll start to damage the toilet.
Sure.
You try to explain that to a client, and they're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it because I'm not
What are you
flushing
accusing me
5,
of?
6 times. Yeah.
Scumbag.
So you get, like, that's the customer service where you guys are perfecting it. All you guys look at problems that come down the pipe, whether it's trade, business, customer, industry, and you guys just look at it and go, how can we make this better?
Yeah.
How can we improve on it? You guys are constantly thinking that.
Yeah, like every time something happens, we take it back to the drawing board and try and find a way of blaming ourselves to not let it happen again. That's
Yeah, I could
pretty
compare it at, let's say, at another company. Like, if you were to make a mistake, like if I could visualize myself there, what would happen? You might get an earful, or you might get just like you know you're in trouble, but you're not going to get Aaron come back to the office and say, work with me, and how can we make this so this doesn't happen again? You know, like he's saying, allowing time to go back and figure out where we went wrong or what we went wrong on, and how can we be better? You know, like
even with bad clients, like as the business grows, you need to be able to have your avatar for your best client and your worst client.
Yeah.
And, you know, what that will allow you to do is, we had an incident lately where we got one of our worst clients, and it ended up, you know, being a learning lesson for me that, you know, to be honest with you, I shouldn't have put the time into it that I did, and I ended up wasting a lot of my time with a lot more serious stuff. And, you know, when you're an owner operator and becoming, you know, being a plumber to being someone who has to run the business, the hardest thing to change about yourself is the need to please other people.
Customer service.
To just get out there and get something done, or just to show up and start doing it yourself, which is by all means a fail at a certain stage of your business, like, you know. So, yeah, it's trying to figure that out and knowing how to navigate around them. You can deflect clients if you have a process for doing it.
Because there's a way to handle. People are still people. It's just about communication, how you handle it, right?
Yeah, you couldn't answer
But the
a
stereotype
call
in
and say
construction
no.
is really just about getting your back up on the wall and yelling back at them and telling them they're wrong and you're right, which doesn't solve the problem.
This one particular person was quite, I don't want to swear on your thing, so we'll go with
Oh, you can swear,
persnickety.
don't worry. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just invent a word. The biggest thing to go from starting at the beginning with like just Aaron to growing into a company of 16 and very soon it'll be 20, like, is there may eventually come a point in time where someone has to be said no to. And although it might feel like it's not customer service to that one customer, it's ultimately customer service to every other customer that's an existing client that needs Aaron's time. And it's customer service to the entire team that needs Aaron doing the things that Aaron does. And it's that switch from saying yes to everything to saying yes to the right things. And I think that Aaron's incredible to even like own up and say, I'm learning as I go, because there's a lot of people who wouldn't have that kind of like self-awareness.
There's a lot of trades that have a fear of firing a client. They don't realize that they can't fire a client. You can say no and move away. This is not working. It's totally possible, right?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, it's difficult because you spend so much time, and especially when you're building a team, that you're ultimately afraid of that. And you're concerned that, you know, if you start letting people go, does it almost have an effect where, you know, have I set karma off in a way that this is going to come back and I'm going to lose more clients? Because, again, like, it's all mental preparation. It's a challenge to yourself, and, you know, you believing in your service. So when, as I said, is to try say no is difficult until you're in a stage, like Meg said, is that you have to see the value across the whole team and say that it's not that you're saying no because you just don't want to deal with it. It's that you're saying no because it's an educated
Because you've said
decision.
all the right yeses before it.
Exactly, yeah.
For the right reasons.
Yeah.
100%, right? Are you guys going out and you guys have conversations? Yeah, go ahead. You guys have conversations with other tradespeople and just explain to them that there's an opportunity here that you should consider this, or is that
Over at Expert?
Yeah.
Like in terms of fellow employees and whatnot? Like
No, about attracting more people to come to Expert. Yeah.
Well, I'd say there's not really a criteria, but there's definitely an energy that comes with working here. It's not, you're not here for a job, like Aaron said. Some do, but like as Dakota knows, like it's a pretty tight ship around here, and like it's no joke. Like everything you see and everything you hear Aaron talk about, like, and Meg talk about, like it's all very serious. Like we had 2 years of Monday morning meetings. Dakota and I can attest to that, of just how can we figure out this house call? How can we eliminate all the background stuff of that? So that helped, and a lot of people can't keep up with that. We've had some team members qualified, not qualified, old, young, and they don't want to do their paperwork, or they want to take an hour and a half on their lunch because that's just what they're used to, because they used to work here. So,
like, I know in my experience, like the guys from school and stuff, like everyone talks about like, oh, their company and like how they do things and all that stuff. And then you talk about our company and like they almost get intimidated by it.
They don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, because you guys are obviously, I guess for lack of a better word, you guys are
spoiled, like you said.
It's not spoiled. It's you guys still see the passion it's almost like you're the new kid on the first day of the job site, and you want to just absorb as much knowledge as possible to do the best job possible.
Exactly.
But at some point, a lot of tradespeople have their businesses and they get jaded, whether that's clients screwing them over, they losing money, or they haven't grown the business away, or an employee has left, started on their, like there's all kinds of little things that possibly come into play,
for sure,
where all of a sudden they start getting jaded at that point. You guys are not looking at that at that point.
No, and like you don't want to feel hard done by, that's when you start not liking what you're doing. Like I like coming into work, it's hard getting up in the mornings, everyone knows that, but there's no day where you're not like looking forward to going and figuring something out. What am I going to get to fix today? So you have to be ready for that. If you're going into work every morning thinking about what you're going to eat for lunch, like you don't want to work here. Like, unfortunately, but
I still think about that.
Here, unless you're Dakota, he needs 3 lunches a day.
Time to sign up for Phil, the free construction marketplace and load tracking app for developers, engineers, and all contractors working in the civil construction industry. One other thing to mention is business and facility listings. Phil has the most complete database of quarries, pits, plants, and depots in Ontario, including all of the big names. So if you're looking for concrete, stone, asphalt, whatever, you'll be able to find it. You can also add your business listing or claim it. It might already be on the map. Sign up for free on the website at www.getphil.app. That's www.getphil.app. You can also search Phil in the App Store. But I guess in all intents and purposes, like Aaron, your business is a young business.
Very young.
And
was it 5 years this year?
Approaching.
Well, it's being driven by young mentality, which is great.
Yeah, like
Thank
the
you.
talent is.
It is. It's great. It's absolutely great. But I guess my question is, how do the old fogies think? Because I don't think that they look at it as, yeah, you can do it that way. It might not work. It might work. We don't know. But this is how we've always done it.
Yeah, like
It's called evolution, man.
I think it just speaks for itself. Like, like you said, like this company, we're going on 5 years this year, and like when I first started with Aaron, like we were just doing drain service, the odd rough in here and there, and then not even coming on 5 years now. Now we're doing hydronics. We're doing like
radon.
Radon.
Like, 5 years ago, we never done a custom home together, and next year we're doing a 40,000 square foot custom home.
Like if 5 years ago you asked me where I'd be in 5 years, I'd be like, I'd be doing the most
Heating
solid
and
rough-ins you've ever seen in your life.
You're doing a 4-inch service, right? Supply.
I haven't seen the drawings for that.
40,000 square feet. It has to
Oh,
be.
I did a 10-inch one the other day.
Probably, I would imagine, yeah.
Like, at what point do you need a fire hydrant in the front of your house to feed your house?
At that stage,
I
probably.
don't understand that point, right?
Yeah, we just stepped it up recently with a new home builder, and it was kind of the phone call that we were waiting from, and it came out of blue, and it's our one-to-many, as we call it, and it's just allowed us to step up. I would say, like, when I started off, that a lot of things that people would say to me is like, oh, Aaron, like, we're having younger guys, like, what you're going to do is you're going to show them the way, and then they're going to go and do it their own way. or
That's an old school mentality.
old school, right? And it's like, because I came through the school, through the trade old school, so, and you were very limited to what was in front of you. But as I said, like, what it is for me is I'm very invested in the career of these people and anybody that joins the team. And I think what that will do for me long term is that people will come, people will go. I'll never stop that. There's nothing you can do about that. But what I'm hoping is for the people that do stay, they're people worth keeping around.
Yep.
Right? Because not everybody is out there to open their own company. I wasn't out there to open my own company. It just led to me doing this because of the position that I was in.
Yeah.
And I just wanted something more. So again, like every Monday morning we sit down with the team, we have conversations, we're talking about the wins. I'm asking the guys, what can we do better? I said it before on the show, is that you leave your ego out of this. Yep. These guys are better plumbers than I am. That's what you want. You want them all to be better. And then you need to find a way to make them better, you know? So
because they'll return all the favors at that point.
Yeah.
They'll see the value in returning it.
Exactly. And as much as I value the old school way of doing things, but it's not like that anymore. The way that things have changed so far in the last few years, you know, if you look at everything that's going on in the world these days, the way we used to get treated in the trade, there's no place for it anymore. And, you know, you would find yourself being very lonely or probably being sued by somebody if you were to treat them like that now. So, you know, if you are an employer and you're in the trades and you're thinking about that, you want to maybe get off the old school as quick as you can and get in tune with the new
There's
school.
There's a lot of lessons to be learned. I've always said it over and over. Like, what you guys are doing is correct. It's working for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not driven by ego.
No.
Like a lot of the old school was driven by ego. They made it work. It totally worked, but it wasn't survivable.
No.
You know what I mean? You couldn't get to this point where you're talking about 20 employees next year. Yeah. Talking about pulling off this job and that job. And obviously you're going to get bigger and bigger. And you're going to get more and more employees that are going to, the word's going to get out.
Yeah.
And you're going to get more of these younger trades that want to be a part of this instead of be a part of the stereotype.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I think instead of thinking of it as people are going to come in and then want to get out or break off on their own or whatever, that's a failure of employment service, that we didn't provide them the opportunities to grow.
Yeah.
And we at Expert Plumbing are absolutely providing opportunities for them to grow, opportunities for them to find brand new things that are emergent and didn't exist before. And we're also taking care of all the other things that we can provide as their employers so that they don't have to have external stresses in life. We give them stuff ahead of time so that they're happy on the job. And like job satisfaction, work-life balance, those things are like critical to everybody nowadays. So having those sorts of things, people don't have to feel like they have to leave. There'd be enjoyment in staying.
They just grow.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, like in any top position, and a lot of guys out there listening will understand this, is that you could have a top job at a company, top position, great wages, but then you can't go anywhere. You can't take a vacation. You are the guy. You're needed, you know.
That's not the point of running a business.
Right, you know. So, and like I say to these guys, and like I can tell you from my experience and being an immigrant, and my longest shift, just a shift, was 35 hours, 34 hours. Like on the tools, like without breaking. And it's like, what I say is that the value of working at a place where you can go away, take 3 weeks vacation, come back, you're not worried about the next guy taking your job. Yeah. You're not, you know what I mean? Like that in itself, like it is, most trades guys don't get that.
They don't pay attention. They don't see it at that point, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to know what's for breakfast. What is the normal breakfast there?
So we only had one breakfast and learn. I've scheduled the rest of them. That particular supplier, because they brought in the breakfast for us, they brought McDonald's.
Although, what was the last breakfast I cooked it up in the shop?
Nah,
what did we do that?
Aaron usually cooks it up. Night.
What was that for? Was it someone's?
I think we just did it because it was you're just like everyone to the shop for breakfast.
Ironically enough, there was one day you were going to do a breakfast and learn the day they did the camera work.
Yeah.
And you were sick or something happened, and so they all showed up and did the camera work and didn't have breakfast, and it was a bit of a joke. And so you then took everyone out to breakfast at Stack,
you took us out the next
and
day
it
for
fell on my
pancakes.
3-month day. And so I tell everybody that you took them all out because it was my 3 months.
And then I guess who's handling things when you're gone, when you're on vacation, Meg?
Falls apart.
It falls apart. It falls all apart.
We have
That, I wouldn't let that happen. There will be a plan for that and everything. I haven't. I've only taken a couple days at a time, so we haven't had a plan for a full takeover for if I was to go for a week or two. But
well, you're going to need a week.
We
or
have
two.
more office staff.
There's an amazing person in accounts, and I'm more than qualified, could be able to step up to the bat if I was gone. But there'd be training. There's a playbook. Right now, I have a manual for my job and her job that literally is like screen grabs. You could come in and do my job. It is that laid out. So when I take a holiday soon, at some point, it won't be a problem. There'll be a playbook that'll be right there. And right next to that is my plumbing playbook of all the things I've learned to answer questions and what to ask, depending on what people say, so that I only ask questions once.
Do you guys do a screen grab playbook for other trades?
I'm sure she'll have like an AI
With
version
like
of herself
selfies, you
on her
guys are doing
phones.
selfies and just smiling while you guys just
Yeah.
finish the fitting or something like that?
Just check this one.
I'll just write the code for my own AI. There we go.
No, I love what you guys are doing. I want to do the 10 questions with you guys, but we got to wrap it up soon. But
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hopefully everybody was fine with what they were sharing and all kinds of. But it's valuable. Every time I have it on your show, you're always giving up great valuable insight.
Appreciate
Right?
it.
So,
Thank you.
and I know that a lot of people, like even Julia, the last time you were here, like she was amazed that this is a possibility.
Of course, yeah.
Right? It totally is a possibility.
It's
for
totally a
trades.
possibility. Yeah, you just, as I said, invest a bit in learning it more on the back end. It's great to have the skill set of the craft itself, but then also, get reading books.
Yeah.
Get working on yourself.
Get to the gym.
Get to the gym.
As you turn 40 and you're having a little bit of a
Yeah.
crisis, and then you'll
You-
start changing your eating habits by the time you're turning 50.
Yeah, like right. a lot of it is how you perceive yourself or the mental preparation, and if you can truly believe in your own ability. And then there's a great book, and it's Who Not How. You're not going to figure out how to do everything yourself, but you can figure out who can do it. And I read that book a couple of years ago. It's Dan Sullivan, Who Not How, and it's very beneficial. So any young business owners out there, check that
Pay
out.
attention to it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. It's just, what's all the information again? It's Expert Plumbing and Drains on Instagram? No.
Yeah.
Expert Plumbing and Drains Canada,
Canada.
on
Canada.
Instagram.
On Instagram. And then you guys are also on social media as well, too.
Jay is Jay.
Yeah, I
at
think mine's
Expert
just
Plumbing.
EPDJ. So it's just EPD, then my name, J-A-Y.
Dakota,
Dakota's
you-
on
Mine's
there.
the same, Expert Plumbing and Drains Dakota
Okay.
_ Dakota.
Does everybody, all the plumbers do?
A few of them do, yeah. We're about to step it up now. We actually just hired a new guy to come in and really take us to the next level with the social media. So he's been doing a lot of recording, and so we're going to step up
Getting
the
on the
game.
job site and everything?
Yeah, I was never really big on it. Jay does the most amount of it. I would say 90% of our posts come from Jay at the moment. But yeah, we're going to gear it up a notch,
Yeah, for a while we had social media and doing some, but like you said, we need to gear, like, it was just the same content over and over again, we need more often, it needs to be more engaging, so.
I wanted to engage with their stories, so we hired a videographer that's storyteller. So instead of just doing posts of shots of guys and faucets
Plan
and
it.
stuff, plan it. I want
Plan
them
it.
to get their story. I want them over the course of a few videos to be able to talk about their journey and just be more engaging with the younger people out there. It's at the end of the day, if we're trying to bring more people into the trades, we need people to see. Like Jay said, it's like you're coming to work, you're trying to figure stuff out, being happy, hanging out with guys. It's not all doom and gloom.
Do you guys get into drain jetting?
Yeah, we have a jetter.
Who does it?
Jay
The only guy with a pro press.
the only guy with a pro. He couldn't be here
Does he
today.
love it? Does he love it?
He loves the pro press.
No, does he love the jetting?
Yeah, like Jake is a drain
man.
expert. He's been doing it for 20 years, and drains are his thing. Like, so
Good.
that's a different beast altogether. Like, it's no joke,
Yeah.
Another conversation.
Yeah, it's
That's all we did, or all I did for 3-4 years. And
Oh, you did it yourself?
well,
Wow.
when we first started.
Oh, when
the
you
other
got
was-
started?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been down manholes and you name it, like doing all sorts, and it's horrible things.
Mostly in
you wouldn't
Hamilton,
imagine.
right?
All over.
All
All
over
over?
the
Yeah.
place, yeah, like absolutely everywhere, to be honest. Like, yeah, the drain service is, you know, a lot of people are getting into drain service now because you see the tools are ready available, and you know, it's kind of like, I'll just put this in here and clear it. It is like that on the low end of things, but when you get into running jetters and stuff like that, you're stepping into a different market. A lot of the stuff that Jake would deal with would be like production and breweries and factories, places like that. So there's a lot going on.
Imagine what's going on in those drains.
Crazy stuff. Like, yeah, he sees all sorts of stuff.
I'll stand by the sidelines and just watch, man.
He was at the other day.
I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can. I'll just ask you guys one by one these questions as we go along. We'll start with Dakota here. What everyday sound brings you guys joy?
Lunch bell. Lunch bell.
Do they still have a lunch bell?
On my phone, it does.
I think in my time, before I'm gone, I think the food truck is going to be gone.
Yeah.
I think it'll be gone.
Yeah, we used to hit them up in Toronto. You can call them. They come to your site. Get the
That
breakfast sandwich.
and the sharpening guy, I think that's going to be gone as well too, right?
Yeah, sure, because you
He's gonna buy
can
a
buy
new
your
drill
own
bit.
thing. Yeah.
Meg, what everyday sound brings you joy?
My husband and my kids talking to me, and my favorite Korean boy band every day. They've all been exposed to Korean rap because of me. And they kept me, so I must be good at my job.
Just turn your mic a little bit.
My favorite sound?
Yeah.
Probably my alarm clocks, because I get to go to work.
What time?
4:30 every morning.
Even on the weekends.
Even on weekends, it's 3 a.m. I get up.
Extra early, so you don't seem lazy.
Yeah.
Aaron?
I have a 6-month-old baby at the moment, so both my kids really now, like, I had a stressful day. It's, you know, when I get home and deal with the kids, it's like, that's when I say to myself, right, this is the break off, because I have a million things to do, but that's where I have to say, like, tomorrow will be tomorrow. Let's enjoy this today, right?
What's your favorite beverage?
Nice ice cold beer.
Any particular brand?
I go with Alexander Keys.
Situationally, either a black coffee or an elderflower gin.
Black iced coffee. Starbucks large.
It's grande.
Grande. I say large and they don't mind.
For me, if it's, coffee every day, but whiskey sour if it was going to be an alcohol.
What's your least favorite tool?
I guess the cartridge puller for Moan Posy times.
Moan, man. Moan. Doesn't have to be construction related. It could be anything in life. Tool.
Don't name any of the guys neither.
I was just going to say my husband. He gives out a lot. No, my husband bought a Roomba and named it Meggie 2.0, and I am not a fan.
That's not a very good move. No.
So I don't like that one. That'll be the...
Least favorite tool. I don't know if...
A bandsaw.
Yeah, anything that I've cut myself with.
Hacked them one time.
Yeah. No, I like all my tools. I don't keep anything on my truck I don't like.
It's all red, eh?
Yeah.
Everything's red.
On mine it is. Most of us actually, all of us are pretty much Milwaukee.
So there isn't a single Milwaukee tool that you don't like?
Oh, well, don't get me started.
Uh-oh, that's what I meant.
I don't have their hand tools. I tend to avoid
Those
their hand tools, I'd
reciprocating
say.
things.
You
Oscillating
know what
tool.
the worst tool we bought lately is? Because I love buying, like, if there's a job for the tool, I'm okay with buying the
That
tool.
torque wrench?
It's that torque.
Fucking so dumb.
What is it?
The Milwaukee torque wrench.
Most expensive torque wrench.
Yeah, like it's
It's
fucking-
like $1,000 for
You mean a
it's
battery torque
It's a
wrench?
digital,
A battery-
and all the
digital
battery
torque.
does is it's
So
it's
we-
like a ratchet and
Yeah.
Really?
So we were doing a 4-inch forced main for a splash pad for the city of Brampton, and the engineer had spec'd particular parts that had a
Specific.
torque rate, right? And high stakes job had to be done really fast. It was getting backfilled, so it's like this wrench will take each like torque and register it to the machine if you're standing right in front of it, there's nothing in your way, and it's a perfect scenario. When we
If you're an
actually,
electrician at a electrical box, that's what it's designed for.
When
Now
we-
when you're in a pit, 9
Now when
feet
you're
in the
in a-
ground.
yeah, we're like
Or
9
mud
foot down
mud.
trying to take this thing away from you. We wrecked it like one
You got
day.
the socket on, you're using a pipe wrench to turn that thing. and fucking you'd be
What was the
better off.
cost of it?
$1,000 for one day. We tore the handle
covered
off
in mud
it.
and
It's
it's just
covered
sitting
in
in the shop.
mud. It just
And it's-
sits there.
Yeah, covered in
Yeah,
mud.
it's
Still, no one
garbage.
even cleaned it.
Sell it on Kijiji. What turns you on creatively?
Might want to pass on that one.
Nothing
Get him
turns you on
excited.
creatively?
Well, what are you doing lately? Like, what have you been doing? Like, you've been studying hydronics for the last while, right? And music, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like for like hobbies and stuff, I make
Yeah.
music on the side, so that's something that
What instrument you play?
I do it all on the computer. It's all electronic music.
Yeah.
It's a nice little hobby, a nice break from
Nice.
strictly plumbing. So
Do
Nice.
your
Yeah, he's
remixes
got
and
a
stuff,
few
makes
followers
it
and stuff. Yeah, he does. he's
What's
good
the
at
handle on
that,
the
like,
music side?
you know.
oh, it's Novatone.
Novatone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Finding large-scale financial micro-efficiencies.
You're in the right spot.
I'm sorry, it's boring, but that's
No,
who
it's
I
not
am.
boring. It's very valuable. It's extremely valuable. Jay?
I'd say probably music and nobody else in my way. I like to creatively. I get very creative if I'm alone and I have time and no one kind of watching over me sometimes. Like the other day I went over to industrial and I did those copper lines. I think I left site at like 11 o'clock at night. I lost track of time. Last time I checked was like 6 p.m., you know? And I was just alone with some music on and I just had time to do it. Aaron allotted for time to do a job and take my time on it, and that's all it was, and it turned out very nice. I was very
Solder?
happy with soldered. Yeah, that one's on my Instagram. EPDJ.
Solder, man. I'm a solder. I'm a kid of solder. It's just like,
It looks like it's there when you pro press. It's all still shiny, you know.
Sure, yeah.
Doesn't ever
Get the
get
buffer.
I'm going back to
Get the
Aaron's
buffer out.
definition. I like his. I'm going to start using his, okay? What about you?
For me, at the moment, like I was hockey prior to having kids, but at the moment, it's really just self-development mostly for me. You know, it's like trying not to do too much of it, but the right amount of it, not get bogged down. But yeah, it's about it.
What word or concept do you guys find overused these days?
Oh, what are the kids saying these days?
You guys are kids.
Not when you work here. It's like dogs.
What did
I'm
Nathaniel
not a
say
kid.
that was odd?
What did he say?
What
He
did
said-
he say? That was
Oh, yucky. He used to
Oh, yeah.
I do something.
Something was yucky.
Yucky. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yucky?
Yeah, he's like, that looks sick. I'm like, ah, that makes
My-
sense.
Oh, you mean yucky's a
Yucky's
positive?
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
He's
threw
good.
me off.
Yeah.
My 15-year-old says, "Oh, that looks aesthetic," and I'm like, "That is not the definition of that word."
That looks
And my
aesthetic.
13-year-old says, "Oh, they made me feel discluded." That is also
Discluded.
not a word.
Yeah, right.
They're just making up shit these days? Is that what's going on?
I don't.
To be honest, kids these days. Huh?
Anything or no?
Me, no. Half
No.
the things I say.
What's your favorite vehicle in the entire world? You know, Aaron, it's
1995
like-
Chevy Silverado.
You know, eventually, Aaron, you're gonna get a Porsche, right?
Right?
It's like it's what every plumber I know
I
has.
know, it's crazy. Feel
You just
left
gotta
out.
decide what color. That's all it is, Meg.
Guys, work harder.
Sorry, my brain is only thinking naughty things.
We're talking about cars.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said favorite thing to ride. It's like my husband. Sorry.
Edit.
Well, that could be a favorite
You never joke
vehicle.
like
Let's just
Yeah.
move on. Jay, you
That
talk
could be a
cars.
favorite vehicle.
my new work vehicle.
What's yours there?
Oh, I'm gonna say a Porsche.
I'm never getting brought anywhere again.
GT3 be nice.
No particular vehicle? No?
I have fun being a passenger, I guess.
Totally cool. What do you guys miss from your childhood?
My father.
Too far.
That was for me. Not you.
There's a line I just crossed.
That went dark real quick.
That's actually pretty funny.
Cartoons on a Sunday morning.
Honestly, yeah. I gotta agree with Dakota on that one, man.
Cartoons?
Just
What
Sunday
were you
morning.
guys watching on a Saturday morning? Because I know what I was watching on a Saturday morning. It's like we're
Attack
talking.
of the Killer Tomatoes.
Rugrats? I don't know.
No, back in my day, what would it have been? Cartoons would have been Transformers, like the original one,
Yeah.
way back.
The
yeah.
Turtles.
Yeah, exactly. What do you? Yeah,
I would have been like, I caught Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes. I'd get the replays,
Yep.
reruns. But
Oh, yeah.
I love them.
my time would have been like when SpongeBob was popping off, you know. Just so you know.
Oh man.
Are you going with your dad? If you guys can master a skill, if you guys can master a skill outside of your own expertise, what would it be?
Sparkies.
Anything else you want? Yeah,
Electrician.
you want to be an electrician?
I want to be, but
Any sort of sports or athleticism, anything. That just eludes me.
Say that again. Sorry.
If you guys can master a skill outside of your own, what would it be?
Maybe more control in personal life, I'd say.
Mastering a skill. At the moment, I feel like, having a good handle on marketing, being able to brand yourself. And if I was handier on a computer and stuff like that, I wouldn't have to pay someone else to do it. So, yeah.
Do you have the time for it?
No?
Then you've already solved the problem there. Last question. If heaven exists, what would you guys like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You were right. I would love God to say I was right about everything. That would just be like, of course.
here's your dad.
Should have went with D-Wald.
He should have went with T-Ball.
God actually says that. I can see him saying that. Jay?
What he says to me. No more soldering up here, man. You can take a break.
Shit rolls downhill and we're up top now.
Awesome, guys. I really appreciate the time. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, man,
appreciate
for
it.
sharing
It's
so
awesome.
much.
Thanks for
information.
having
Good
us.
stuff.
And I know it's a little awkward for you guys to get on the mic and just talk about your craft and your trade, but there's a lot of value. There's a lot of people out there that are listening to these stories, and they totally respect it. So it's all good.
Good stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for listening, everyone.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks.
so much. Everybody check them out, and you're always hiring, right?
Yeah, we're
They're
always
interested?
learning, yeah.
Doesn't
Just-
matter if they're a co-op student, apprentice.
No, just regardless,
Reach out.
we put it all on keep it on file, and yeah, once we're ready to go, and
Stay in touch. That's
yeah.
all it is.
Call me. I'll give you my email to send me the resume.
That's it. Simple as that. What is the phone number for you guys to reach you guys?
905-531-4111. I may have done that before.
Yeah.
admin@epnd.com.
That's it. Thank you very much, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Angelina, we're out of here.